All right, all you devils, how you doing out there? Here we are, Thursday the 23rd. I had a request from a member to take a look at the FANG stocks. It's a Thursday where we're either going to look at FX or equities here. So this seemed reasonable given all the volatility we've got in the market, in particular these tech leaders as to how they're looking. Now, but we'll get there in a sec. Before we do, just a reminder here, we're down to 5 days left on our membership giveaway here. Again, if any of you haven't entered, super easy. Email or your Twitter handle, and there's some very simple tasks. They're very easy. Likes, retweets, subscribe here on YouTube. But the easiest way to get a bunch of points here is just come over and to our plans and pricing, and you can start on the free one if you like. That'll give you a bunch of points. And then, of course, the idea here is every time you perform one of these tasks, retweet something, like something, subscribe here, you get additional points. The more points, the higher the probability that you get the win, right? So this is just statistically going to work for you. And the fastest way to get points is just join the free Discord, right? So it's like I'm a little slow here. Chrome's been giving me some problems lately. Anyway, so here we have this. Very easy to enter. The link is directly underneath this video. It'll literally say membership giveaway. Can't miss it. All right, so that said, right, like I said, we're coming down to the home stretch here, so don't miss that if you're interested. Pretty nice little giveaway package here for you. This is still struggling to load. Okay, well, let's get over here. All right, so we're going to look at the FANGs. We'll get through them relatively quickly. Now, the counts here are suspect. So one of those scenarios here where it's questionable as to is the Elliott really helping here? Because what do we got here? Facebook. So, well, so the channel looks pretty obvious. Well, you got a couple of possibilities. So one scenario is you've got 3, 4, and you've completed something here. And the reason that's a possibility is while we don't make a perfect 50, you've come down close enough. A, B, C, maybe, right? So if we completed something here, then the only alternative here would be that we've done. I guess you'd have to dig an A, B, C out of that, and now we'd be into a 1, 2 before we rip for the next impulse. That's awfully aggressive to think that we're gonna. Well, you got two issues here that are a little problematic. One, the length of time of this impulse being corrected here. Now, what's that pivot, right? So that's July 25th of 18 down to 9. I mean, it's possible, right? I mean, this is, that's from 12 to 18. Maybe. So the other possibility here, I suppose you could consider, that we're doing a running flat here, and this is still yet to come. So you'd be looking at this as a running flat, heading for that. That actually, I don't know, but so could be, maybe. So you're kind of left here out at this degree, going, well, how do you distinguish between the two? That's a tough one. So what I would do now is, based on the fact that we've had this swing, now we're retracing. Well, if we're going to break the golden zone here, and we'll look at that in a second, if we break that, well, then bulls are in charge. Then I would wait for this to come down. Then I'd try and get on board there. That's how I would do it. Well, so looking at that now with those potential variables there, if I open this up, let's get this opened up a bit. So, okay, so first thing, what have we done? We just bumped into the Vegas wave. So from the top here, you'd want to check that in between, right? We're not yet through the golden zone. We've broken the 50. This is a tricky one. So if you look here, clearly from swing high down, we've broken the golden zone. It looks like there's one in the middle of this, right? So, of course, algos are going to be in here. So here's the 50. They got that, right? So if you look at that, it's swing. They buy the 50. They don't get it here. Do they get it? Did they get a little internal? They probably did. You get a break there. So it wouldn't have been there. So if they bought here, they stayed with it. Jesus, they're on every side. You've got this wick here that kind of is problematic. So here's another 50. So here's 50. Doesn't get there until this. This gets denied here. if you can see that, right? So we come here, we come 50 to the tick, can't get there, gets denied before you get that final rip. So this is tricky, right? So I would be waiting myself to see what's the resolution here. Are we going to come up and tag that golden zone and then just head back down? Because here would be, well, then you start to kind of put that together and you go, okay, well, if that were going to be, if this were going to be realized, then this, you'd be back to, you know, A, B, going for the C. So looking at this level here, if I pull from the absolute low here to, you know, if it's this, well, we look at it this way. So if this were going to be correct, if this were going to trade as an A, B, we're going to go, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hard to say it. So A, B, C. So maybe you have W, X, Y, and this is A, B, C. Well, look at the target and the 50. You know, it's hard to miss this confluence down here. So that certainly is a possibility that you resolve this with an A. Maybe, you know, maybe you get golden zone. You come down here for the B. So then, you know, you'd be back to thinking 4, 5, and it could be either. So you got too many choices here. That's a little bit of the problem with Facebook here. So I don't know that that this is helping you here a lot. Right, if it's 4, 5 and we're done, then this needs to come down here, and you'd be pulling from the top here. Right, you still get this nice little cluster down here. I don't think you can do it. Well, so earnings, what have we got? Earnings May. You know, it's hard to say, right? How Facebook does. You would anticipate that you'd have perhaps fewer advertisers in the midst of all of this, right? So many. Well, if you try to outthink it, right, you get yourself in trouble. Here's what we can see, right? So from here, if it breaks this golden zone, it's bull's ball, and I would take the next retrace. If we pivot here and we start to head lower, well, you're going to have to watch for what happens here. So it wouldn't be surprising, or you know there's going to be software there. If we do get a pivot here, if it can't get through it and you come back down, well, then the possibility is you're going 3, 4, 5. So you got a tricky range here. This is unclear. Of course, when it's this unclear, right, so out is certainly a position that's worth considering here. It's just you don't have any particular advantage here. So you're kind of rolling dice. So until you get some definitive answers here out here on the daily, well, this looks like that was likely, right? What do we do here, right? So there's golden zone, already got that target. So you're just, it's trading. It's trading technically, course, right? Of course it's going to trade technically, but where are we in the count? It's a little bit elusive here. This almost looks like you've already got your A, B, C going there, right? So it looks like, hard to say, right? But your golden zone, your 618 to the tick, you're through the target. Well, look, you've got second target right on top of this golden zone, so this would not be surprising at all. And then let's see how that looks with regards to the alternate. So if that's the A, we're going to get, am I right on that? B. So we didn't quite make the golden zone here, so it's a few ticks off of that. So here's the 100 as we've just hit the Vegas wave. You can't see it, but right on top of the 618 here is the blue. Maybe if I wiggle that. No, it's the wrong one. Well, it's from this one. So the second target is right on top of the 618. So that's a reasonable target here for this to go up here and tag that. You can almost see this. Looks like that. So A, B, C. It looks hard to say, right? You lose the internal swing. So I'd have to go A, B. Looks like we're going up for the C until that breaks. Then I know, okay, maybe it's 1, 2. We're going 3. Well, if that's the case, shit, I know this is getting crowded here. So if it's going to go, if this is 1, 2, and we're going to go 3, well, here's our high probability zone. Then you'd wait for that. But is that likely to be the 5? So that would be extremely bullish. So if this ends up being the 4 down here, and we're just starting our impulse, well then, right, we're off to new highs. Hard to, right, again, if you try and outguess the market, you're going to get your ass handed to you, right? It'll do the opposite of whatever you think is rational. Look at it today, right? Bad news is good news. Well, so the bad news is not as bad as thought it might be. Market rallies, then you got the little, the news middle of the day. So the market is just hypersensitive to the latest news, the latest tweet, the latest story. It's very headline driven. So I'd be cautious about this. If I were doing this, I'd do it with options. You got to wait and see what's the outcome here. What happens if we're that close to it? 186 and golden zones at 191. I'd wait and see what kind of response you get here. That's me. Right? So, all right, so let's move on from that. I don't think there's more. We can just analyze the shit out of it, but you don't get any advantage until you see what happens here. All right, Apple. Well, okay, Apple. Yeah, let's zoom back here. Well, here's the daily. Well, so we know Apple absolutely loves the golden zone. So, well, let's see. I thought I had some of these saved here. I got this one here. Okay, so looking at Apple from the top. So do you see what the confluence we get here? This should not surprise you. This actually gets a tick or two through the golden zone, but it appears that they did it just so they could get the 100, right? So you have competing algos there. So length of the A projected from the B, that's the 100 and the 65 essentially on top of each other. You get the reaction you get the reaction right to Vegas wave. Now, are we going to kick? Is this going to turn into a 5? Well, how do you know, right? So this could very easily be interpreted from our absolute pivot as an A, B, C, then A, B, C again. So somewhere in here, we need a 5. That's pretty, I mean, that's about as technical as they get. So if that's going to kick up here and this turns into a 5, well, we got to watch. Well, so of course the length of this swing is equidistant, right? So we've got an exact parity here. So you can't call that the 3 yet, right? Till you see if it's relative to the 5. Remember, 3 doesn't have to be longest, just can't be shortest. Well, right now they're exactly even, so I got to have a 5 here. This is more prone to being a C because of that parity, but you know, it just takes the kick up here, right? Break it. Now we got a 5. Now what's the next thing you're thinking? 3. Again, these are, there's no advantage here. So if anything, the trade here is the short side. You know, do you want to short Apple? It's hard to do that, right? A lot of years of watching it just go higher and higher and higher. So that's a bold trade. I would do it in options because of the risk, right? To reduce that risk. Oh, there's a number of ways you could do this. You could, you could sell some out of the money calls to buy the puts that would be closer to the money. I'd buy slightly in the money so you don't have such bad time decay. So you want time working for you here, but you want less time decay because you need that to kick, right? So actually, this would be better if this failed here. So if we went, let's go to a 3 hour. It looks like it's already broken the golden zone from above. So if I pull from the pivot here. You're already through that. So, but you got 5 there. Let's try that. That doesn't look like you got 5 yet. So again, we're kind of in the same spot here. I don't have any advantage here. No edge over the market. So no edge. You're okay. So you're going either long-term trend to guide you. Okay, long-term trend. Where's our long-term trend? Well, have we had a trend change? Have we had a trend change from the low? Have we had a trend change? So do you look? Jesus Christ! I swear to God, guys, you think I set these up? I don't. Right. So here, it's golden zone to golden zone. Right. It's the same. I just do this over and over and over again, guys. It's the same thing every chart, every time frame, every asset. It never changes until they rewrite this algorithm. Every asset, whether you're looking at a 1 minute chart or a 1 month chart, it's exactly the same over and over and over again. I'm over 1,000 videos. It's often 5,000, 6,000 times I've shown this. It never changes. Right? It never changes. Right? As I recall this from a prior video. Right to the golden zone. Right? Same shit every day, every asset, every time frame, every time. Well, let's keep rolling here. Netflix. What do we got on Netflix? Now, Netflix is a bit of a conundrum. What do you do with this? What do you do with this? Let's pull back out to a daily. Well, looking at it, with your Elliott hat on, I've got to, so it's either A, B, C down here. So it's either A, so it's either W, X, Y with the Y failing to break this, or you've got some sort of, it wouldn't be an ideal triangle, but an A, B, C, D, E, maybe you squeeze something into that, right? It's a bit of a, well, the bottom line, what are you looking at here, right? This all looks corrective. That's what you're looking at. Looks corrective. Now, if it's A, B, C, if you had a running, would you have a, yeah, you could have a 3, 3, 5. Let's go with that. So A, B, C. Well, then you've got 1, 2. Maybe, right? So then you'd be back down here. Well, so you could do it this way. So you'd have a 3, 3, digging a 5 out of that, right? You'd have to do it on a lower time frame. So if you're you're putting the 4 here, well, 1, deep 2, up we go. Now we're off to try in search of the 5. Netflix, not surprising. So earnings just had them, right? So market likes it. You get a little pullback today. So we've got a fresh high here. So safest bet seems to me to put the 3 here. Some sort of corrective activity took place here, and now we're off. This is, well, what's interesting about this is, look at this clearly. Let's get this right here. Right, so clearly we've broken golden zone here. But what about this? This, I can't explain this other than maybe some algos have been working on this. Look what we get here. Right, so this, right, swing breaks. We go up here, now golden zone, right? And that's to and through first target. Hard to understand, we're never going to know if there's, God knows how many algorithms are in here. We hit the one we can track because it leaves footprints. That's not it by definition, but it's just an observation. Who knows how they've written those, but something, this again all looks corrective and looks like we're off here. Now we've broken the highs. Looks like we're off to a pretty good, well, just out of curiosity. Well, there it is again, guys. Right? So like golden zone, golden zone, golden zone. They can't get through it. They can't get through it. Target, second target got met on this one. Here was the best trade. Swing, golden zone. It's the first one. First target. They got second target. Back to the golden zone. Back to this target. Now they break it, right? So here was the first tell. Okay, so we're through golden zone, so it's bull's ball. We come down here, but you break from this one, but it's there from that one. Hard to know what they did there. So, but again, you can just see, look at how, unbelievable, guys, unbelievable. So here's the break, bull's ball. So where's the next trade? All right, if you're looking to get in, well, this doesn't look like a great impulse, does it? Right? It almost looks like a 3. So this is going to need another kick to get a new high here to see your way into a 5 there. So if and when we get a pivot beyond this, well, let's not assume it, but if and when you get a pivot beyond that, well, look, point of control. Here's the next place to be looking. I never do that. I never buy those. Never tried it, tested it. I don't buy breakouts. Now, there are breakout traders that do this very successfully in equity. If there's one market where a breakout trader can do well, it's in equities. Not futures, not FX. Never would I do that. But equities, yeah. Well, you can kind of look at this, right? So there were stops there, right? Not only are there breakout traders there, there's stops there. So always the push to get to the dominant pivot like that is they want to get the stops. So the stops. Well, one, you've got sellers up there, right? So sellers at highs create new highs. Don't ever forget that, right? So you don't want to be a seller there, but you don't want to be a buyer either, in my view, right? So I'm a retracement trader, so I just whatever is happening here with the Elliott count, I don't know, but that I know. Does that? I'm all over it. Yeah, I'd do it with options again, same thing. Okay, what do we got? So what's left? Google. Okay, let's go to Google. Google had some interesting bits here. Okay, so let's go back. You got to go back a bit with Google. Okay, so this is interesting, right? And of course, technical as hell. So this is Alphabet, right? Pardon me. So we got to use this as Alphabet. So here's the low I got a completed impulse. The 5's a little questionable. you got a little bit of a conundrum here, but look how technical this is. So if this is, well, one to the, it looks like you get a truncation here, right? So this, it's hard to call that, right? So so this looks like a double bar. So it's either A, B, C, or you got to go W, X, Y. I think that's what you got to go. So you got to go A, B, C, W, X, A, B, C into the Y to get your 2 here. Well, then look what happens here. So if this is the 1, this leads me a little bit. So if that's the 1 and that's the 2, well, either one of these, whether if you use the dominant high or the secondary, I think you use this one here. So there's 200%. Now we're to and through up here. So it makes me think this is more probable to be the 3. It's a little bit of a shitstorm in there to get a 3 out of it. So again, it's kind of the same thing. Is this a running flat or 1, 2? Because it looks like the 5 here completes internally, right? So this, is it that? Right? It's tough to say, right? So it looks like you might have another running flat, which I prefer not to truncate if I can avoid it. So what's the alternate? You'd have to go 1, 2, A, B, C. This looks like 1, 2, 3, but that's there's an example. Is the Elliott helping, right? So what can I see for sure? Okay, so from the 2 to the 3, what do I get here? Right, 50 to the tick. So I don't have to worry too much about the Elliott count because I'm not sure what we've got up here. Right, we're not going to know until we see how all of this resolves. But that's 50 to the tick. It's gone to a target. Okay, that I understand. That I can see what happened. Well, we didn't get second target here. But so then you look and say, okay, well if that's done, well how deep did we go here? Well, if that were done, what would we'd be looking for the 50, right? What we just do. So guys, so again, it's the same thing over and over again. So if that's a completed impulse, where are you looking for the 2? Right at the 50. What did we do? 50 to the tick. So coming back up, what are we thinking now? Well, just to add a little sweetener here, I spotted this. Put this back on, right? Boom. Right, here's your, it's not a golden because we break, but once you've got that pit, well, you actually get it twice. Look, right, so here's the 80% being realized. Right, remember, it's 80% as long as, once you get your pivot here and it starts, 80% that you get there. All right, so here 80% gets realized here. Retrace, Vegas wave, the edge, the outside edge of the median lines, boom. If you think that's coincidental, you need to stop watching my YouTube channel, because that I promise you that's not coincidental. Okay, so and I think, all right, so what did we get there? Just misses the 618, right? So is it the median line that keeps it? Well, look at the reaction from hitting the median line straight to the 50. So coming back the other direction, what would you be looking for here? Right, from the low. Well, we're to get right on that. Here we are at the 50. Okay, so it's kind of the same problem, right? Until I see what happens here, how do you, well, you wouldn't want to buy into that, would you? You wouldn't want to buy right into a potential golden zone, a dominant to dominant after 50, and a technical pivot here, a technical pivot here. You want to buy into that golden zone? No thanks. Not for me, right? I'll wait for that. Right, so if this is going to pivot here, now if it gets through, which of course nothing says it can't get through, if it gets through, well then I'm all the better, because now I know who's in charge. Bulls are in charge. Okay, give me a retrace. I'm all over it. Here, so you got the same problem here. So we get an ABC. We're correcting that entire move here in what, month? What's our time? February. March, we're gonna correct that entire move. This whole thing is this entire move is getting corrected here. Well, they're certainly As I said this on the live stream today, there is absolutely no fundamental valuation going into equities right now. That's out the window. This is all central bank driven. Who has visibility on earnings right now? Well, maybe Netflix, maybe Peloton. That's about it, right? Everything else, this is all central bank, right? This is totally, everything happening in the equities market is 100% fabricated from the central bank. There's no natural supply and demand happening now. We're in the twilight zone here. This is one hell of a big experiment. Nobody knows how this is going to end. But are we going to do this really? Are we really going to do that with what's going on? Maybe Alphabet. Maybe. Sure looks to me like that is more probable. Now, look. So. I swear to God, guys, I can't make this shit up. Okay, so look what we get here. Golden zone, look where the target is. Right on that bigger golden zone. That would make more sense to me. This 5 waves getting corrected into 3. This looks a little premature. Same thing, right? So I'm not saying that I would be looking to be aggressively short going into earnings. So what do we got here? We already had it? No, we got earnings coming up. Oh, so for those of you looking to trade this into earnings, well, one, that's always a bit of a crapshoot, right? You're really rolling the dice. So maybe you straddle it here, but straddles are expensive and you need a monster move out of that. So I never liked the straddle myself. I'd rather wait, see what happens here. If you get a negative reaction there, then I would sell. Well, I would do exactly what I was just saying. I'd sell out of the money calls or a call spread to pay for a slightly in the money put. So I don't get the time decay here. So if I get that turn, now I'm in the money. Now I'm getting deltas approaching 100. So now I'm getting dollar for dollar as that approaches here. These times working against them. That's how I would do it if I was looking to get short, but I don't want to do it until I see what happens here. Now, it looks like it's teed up to get there. Now, we'll see, right? So the other possibility here is we're just running into this 50 here in this structure. Nothing says we're getting to the golden zone. It could be we just do this, right? Then I would like it better. But right now, you're kind of in, where are you? You're between the 50 and the 618. You've had a perfectly technical pivot here and you had a 50. So what advantage do you have here? You don't really have an advantage here. You're suspect of this being the completed correction because the length of time is so short relative to this length of time. I was never one to try and trade right into earnings. Right? I always thought it was a bit of a gamble. There are times when you're going to get it right and it's a big payday, but you need a lot of volatility coming off of that. That's trader's choice as to whether you want to pursue that. But here's what I would not do. I would not buy it right before that, going into earnings. What if there's a miss? Right, that's going to come down hard. All right, that's just my views, guys. There you go. That's about as much as I can offer there. If I could, welcome to the game, right? If you don't have any advantage, or if you can't see an obvious advantage, sidelines is never a bad place to be, right? If you're unsure. Okay, guys, there you go.